All right. What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another live stream here. How are we all doing? We were live yesterday. We're alive today. The market is moving. That is a good thing. It's also moving in the direction that we want today, which is even better. But definitely, like, good stuff, I think, across the board right now in the market. I had to take the hoodie off. Everyone's always asking me about my hair. It's nothing interesting. I wish it was, but it's not. But let's take a look at the market here. Let's wait for a couple people to come in. Smash up the likes as you are coming in today, ladies and gents, for this incredible volatility. I mean, my goodness, is this not exactly what we were looking for? A Bitcoin sitting at $124,000. This is a blessing. It's also, I can't say a certainty, but it's also something that, you know, we were able to see coming for quite some time. If we zoom out a little bit, gain some perspective on the chart, put this over on the right-hand side, get everything kind of nicely ordered up. Welcome everybody to the live stream. Smash up the likes as you are coming in. Let me know where you're watching from today. A little bit of an earlier live stream than usual. This is the time I want to stream at every time. It just depends on how many of you guys are up. But I think most of you guys are probably going to be like awake and on your phone around about this time. So this is the time I would prefer to live stream every time. So how are we all doing? Let me know in the live chat what's going on. Coming from war-ravaged Portland. My goodness. Did they not have, like... I saw 𝐁𝐥𝐿𝐴 out there. That was Portland, right? 𝐁𝐥𝐿𝐴. And he was getting harassed by some, like, Antifa fucking thug. And then what was it? Like, some federal fucking sniper just had his laser pointed at that dude's chest. That is so crazy. Isn't that crazy? Was that in your city? That would have been like 5 days ago. But let's take a look at this market here as we are just seeing everybody coming into the live stream today. Smash up the likes as you are coming in today, ladies and gents. Let's get this up to 50 likes for a first target. Really, we need to see 100. But Bitcoin has managed to rise above $124,000. Oh, maybe not. Did it? Did it even get above 124? No, it didn't. Came within $3 of 124K. And now we are seeing a tiny rejection here. So far, it's taken Bitcoin down by only $900. But, you know, we were here yesterday. You know, we were just on the cusp of a breakout yesterday while we were live. But it seems like that whole breakout just kind of happened now instead, which I'm not complaining about. You know what I mean? Like, an extra day to move up, that's healthy. That's a good thing. So I like that. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Make sure you smash those likes up. I want to get this live stream pushed out to, you know, subscribers, more or less. I know that's like a controversial thing these days, that your own subscribers view your content, but, you know, the engagement helps. It helps YouTube just kind of know that, yeah, people are watching this thing. So any of that love, very much appreciated. Let's see what we got in the live chat today. What's up, Adam? How you doing? 𝐿𝐴𝐵. We're due a pullback, surely. It seems overextended from where it's pushed up from. Yeah, it does. I said that yesterday as well, but, you know, I think it's been suppressed for a long time as well, right? And I think that's a really, really big problem, you know, for Bitcoin, is how suppressed it's been and for how long it's been suppressed. Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of just repeat myself, but I didn't. I made two different statements there. And, you know, that's an important kind of fact for us to keep in mind, because if we are leaving a kind of period of high price suppression, we're going to have quite explosive kind of reactions afterwards. That doesn't mean we're not going to get pullbacks. It might just mean that those pullbacks take a little bit more time than we would like them to, you know, and I do think that that's just going to be a kind of fact of the market, a reality of the market. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Smash those likes up as you are coming in. We're going for 50 likes for a first quick target here. Got to see 100. Really helps the live stream just kind of come to life. We got Boys, Idaho. What's up? Boise, Boys. I don't know how to say that, dude. Sorry. Canada, what's going on, Canada? Oman, northern Portugal in the mountains with fiber. Nice. Good stuff. Australia with a kangaroo. What's going on? Netherlands. I ordered those books you recommended, meaning Market Wizards and Technical Analysis of Financial Markets, linked down here for those of you that are curious. I ordered those books you recommended. I personally don't trade, but something I'd like to eventually. You're taking the right approach, dude. If you're not a trader yet, but you're jumping in with like these books, especially, I'd say Market Wizards is less important right now if you're new. But if it's, you know, if you start off with like TA of the financial markets, you've got, you know, a super clinical, you know, early entry into the game, and that's going to serve you really well. Now, on top of that, if you're new to the game, if you just kind of focus on, you know, the basics, you know, risk management, you know, obviously not putting too much money into each trade, you know, defining what your risk should look like, defining what your take profit strategy should look like, you know, all of that good stuff. You know, if you're doing that, then you're in a good place. You know, like there is a dude that I'm working with who I basically just coached like straight up, like off the fucking street. Like, I mean, like not literally at all, but you know, like this dude had zero fucking exposure to anything like this. And I've essentially gotten him up to a level where I trusted his analysis as my own now. And that took about 7 months. And the reason I was able to achieve that is because, number one, he listened to me. And he listened to me at every fucking step, by the way. Not just like when it was easy to listen to me. He listened to me when his fucking greed was screaming at him too. When his fear was screaming at him too. Not that he had much fear, because he's just fucking built different. And you will be built different if you speak to a guy like me. You know, and he just fucking rinses now, dude. Like, he is on a different level. Most traders will never trade like this, dude. 7 months. It took him 7 months. And it's because he took the kind of approach that you just described. So, good shit. Get your reading in. Understand what you're doing. That'll be a very, very rewarding path for you. Let's take a look at Bitcoin again here. And if you do want to get inside of our kind of coaching program where I'm going to go even more in depth with you, then, and that's 1-to-1, by the way, then you can reach out with this right here. And you will be able to get some information from the team on what our 1-to-1 program looks like. It is absolutely incredible. Thank you all so much for smashing those likes up, by the way. Let's pump them up as high as we can here. Thank you all very much. It's raining in London. Always is, mate. We got Cyprus here. Canada sucks now. I'm Canadian. Yeah, Canada does suck now, doesn't it? I'd love to go, though. Christopher says, dang, Sammy, my algo hasn't been showing me your stuff lately. What's up with that? Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's going on for a lot of people. Couldn't tell you, dude. Couldn't tell you. I think we're doing everything pretty well. I think if I was posting more consistently, it would be a very different story. But I'm kind of just here like when something's going on, you know? So, I don't know. I like it this way. I don't want to sit on live streams all the time. I want to be here when it's useful, get off when it's not useful, you know what I mean? But, yeah, incredible rally right now. Definitely some people talking about how, you know, we could be looking at, you know, a kind of pullback being due at this stage. And I think that that's very real. But I don't know where that's going to come from. You know, like we could get rejected. I mean, we're getting rejected right now, you know, but I mean, this is probably, you know, quite likely to be superficial just purely based off the fact that, you know, if it does kind of start recovering from now, again, there's not much resistance that can stop Bitcoin from going up again. And so, you know, little pullbacks as you go up are pretty normal, right? I mean, we see these all the time. And, you know, I mean, since this rally really started, you know, we haven't really had one. And it's been a pretty relentless rally. I mean, from the start point, which you can't see because it's covered by my face, up until the top. Here, I'll show you this. You should be able to see it now. You know, that was a 2-hour and 14-minute move. And it took Bitcoin up by $4,000. So it's pretty reasonable that Bitcoin sees, you know, a steeper drop from here. But, you know, it's going to have support. That's the point. And so, like whether we get those kind of rejections or deeper pullbacks that we're looking for or not, you are going to be seeing support helping the market kind of stay where it is. And I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good sign. That's what you want to see. So close to 40 likes. I'm sorry, 50, you legends. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen your notification in a month. Glad to be back, though. You gained weight, bro. Yeah, I did, bro. I did, but I've lost so much of it. I actually properly fucking bulked up like a fat degen. And I've been fully locked in for like 2 months now, just straight, like without fucking it up for 2 months. And I've been doing very, very well. I think like another 2 months it's going to be quite noticeable. We'll see. What's the all-time high? It's like 124. How do you think we'll respond to that level on the next test? I mean, we've tested it, I mean, like, this counts to me, right? Like, we didn't quite, like, fully touch it. We came, like, $500 lower than the actual all-time high. But, this definitely counts. So you're seeing it. You're looking at it right now. This is the reaction to setting... I mean, not setting, but to hitting the all-time high. This is the reaction. It's I mean, we're basically going down as quickly as we came up, which is not good. I mean, if you're a bull, you want to see a lot less strength for bears. But, we're overanalyzing here. I mean, this is literally the 1 minute time frame, and this market is pretty fucking strong. So, like, to pull out a bearish argument on the 1 minute time frame, that is, like, quite fucking degenerate activity, right? Like, that's clearly not what sensible analyzing or trading would ever look like. So, I don't want to, put too much focus on that, but we are falling through the floor right now. I mean, that is just another $1,000 drop we've just seen in the last 3 minutes, of me talking right now. We've just seen $1,000 drop there. So, that's putting us closer to some of these support levels here where, there truly is going to be a lot of support for Bitcoin. So let's see, what happens as Bitcoin does reach those levels. Smash up the likes, ladies and gents, if you are just tuning in. So close. We're so close now for this live analysis, just kind of breaking down these tiny kind of Bitcoin crashes, making sense of what's going on, bringing a very realistic, reasonable view to everything. See where some of our kind of classic support indicators might lie for Bitcoin. Nothing huge going on here. Let's go on the daily. Yeah, a lot of support. If we really fall back down again, there's going to be a lot of support down here. It's going to develop higher into the kind of 117, 120k range, I think. Basically in November. It's not something we're going to see now, but it's going to be like a mid-November thing, late November thing. We might get support there if Bitcoin stays up at these levels or higher. Only if those two things happen. Oh, yeah. But finally catch a live. Been a minute, bro. Well, welcome. Welcome, James. Welcome back. Yeah. EMA is not really saying anything. There's just... The market ran, dude. The market just ran. And we know why it did this. If we go ahead and look at the S&P 500... I mean, the S&P 500 right now is in a tiny drop. And that's probably why Bitcoin is in a tiny drop right now. But... since the last time we spoke about it, which was yesterday, we're up again, and it's the same pattern that I described for you with the S&P 500, which is that, like, look at this. This was Friday, and then the Monday trading session opens and we gap higher, right? Like, there is a pretty significant gap here. It's like, plus 0.4%. And then instantly for the rest of Monday, we're just trading down. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's a very typical thing for... Look, it happened right here as well. So this was Wednesday. Wednesday trading session ended here. Thursday trading session opened here. Opened way higher. And it's just instantly trading down. And we're doing the same thing again right now, right? I mean, this is the Friday trading session. In this case, we opened higher and traded higher. But now we're pulling back again. So just very kind of standard price action, more or less, for the S&P 500. And it's still at a higher all-time high today than it was yesterday. Like, even right now, it's at a higher price than at any point yesterday. So, clearly, this market is doing very, very well. And I think that's why Bitcoin is doing well as well. Now, the S&P has been good for a while, right? And Bitcoin hasn't. Bitcoin's been fine, but, you know, I mean, by many, like, short-term fucking ADHD analysts in the space, it's, like, kind of scary, I guess, for a lot of people. You know, and obviously I find that stuff to be very silly and unproductive, you know, to think about. But I think what's important for us here is, you know, the S&P 500 has been strong for a while. Bitcoin has been lackluster. We'll call it lackluster. Now, the S&P is still strong, but Bitcoin isn't lackluster anymore. And so, you know, another way of saying that is, you know, Bitcoin was behaving irrationally. Now it's not. We don't know when so-called irrational price action stops happening. We don't know when it's going to stop. It's very hard to forecast when it's going to stop. But it's important not to lose faith that it will eventually stop, because these are always kind of temporary episodes. And especially in markets like crypto, where so much of it is manipulated to screw you, i.e. the trader, you really just have to kind of like hold your baseline beliefs very strong. And baseline belief, what does that mean here? It's like, well, what fucking trend are we in? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are we in an uptrend or are we in a downtrend? That's a baseline belief. I believe at baseline, Bitcoin is in an uptrend. Shoot me. It went from 15K to 124K. I think we're in a small uptrend, okay? Can we agree on that? So, if we're in an uptrend for Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin starts pausing, and everybody on Twitter, everybody on Discord, everybody on Telegram, and your WhatsApp group chats, and whatever the hell you've got going, is bearish, or losing hope, or whatever the case may be, then I don't know, you tell me. Baseline belief is there, everybody in retail saying one thing, S&P is still strong. Is it just more likely that Bitcoin will just return back to positive correlation with the S&P 500? Is that more likely, or is that a silly thing to say? Can you guys tell me in the live chat? I genuinely want to know what you guys have to say about this. Smash up those likes, by the way, if you're enjoying this live so far. I think this is really important. Is it reasonable to say that Bitcoin will regain its positive correlation with the S&P 500? It always did. Every time it fell out of synchronization with the S&P 500, it always regained it. Going back 5 years. Going back for like 5 years. It's been behaving like that. We're in 2025, so probably even a little bit before that. So I think that's, you know, a great sign. You know, that Bitcoin always kind of regains that. And bringing it back to the chart here, we can clearly see why that is. You know, we can clearly see why that's such a reliable kind of thing to believe. Because it happened again just now. And it's happened to the point where we've got people scratching their heads at, like, why was this so aggressive? Why did we not pull back during, you know, the up move? It's not surprising. It's not surprising. The market was suppressed. And then the market wasn't suppressed anymore. That's it. I wish it could be something more complex, and it could be like, actually, there is a group of Illuminati-esque traders that organized to pump the market, you know, because the liquidity reached level X. And that's probably, like, somewhat along the lines of what might have happened. But we don't want to focus on those things. You know, the whole, like, the whales did this, you know, or whatever narratives. Yeah, they're probably, you know, these theories are probably at least partially true, but what does it do to you? Not useful for you. Let's just call it what we can call it and move on and make sure that our analysis incorporates these things that are happening. I don't really care about having to explain everything away. It's hard to. We don't have access to that information, you and I. But we got access to enough. We got access to the price charts themselves. So there's a lot we can do with that. Here's Bitcoin. Kind of taking another stab at some of these higher levels again now, trying to push a little bit higher, so we'll see how that goes. It's trying. 122,500. Tons of support down here. But we don't have any real support indicators that I like lining up with this level either. So, that's not great. We probably do, like, on the hourly, but... Oh, no, I was on the hourly, and we don't. Yeah, I know, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit from the Ichimoku cloud right here. And EMA ribbon. Yeah, it's also there. Yeah, to be fair, we do have support on the hourly. Only on the hourly. Reading the community feeds on CoinMarketCap is hilarious. I believe that. I believe that. Can you give us a VeChain chart, please? I'll very quickly look at it. But I don't really want to look at, like, fucking 4th tier coins or whatever this is now. I don't know, like, this coin fell off hard. I remember it from way back. Way back. Yeah, this coin is dead, dude. I mean, it's not, like, that dead. Like, it's in a good place, but it's got to get above, like, 33 cents, basically, for anything nice to happen. If it can get above 3 cents, it might have a chance at rallying to 5.5 cents, and then subsequently to 26. But, I don't know. I'm not gonna... it's not looking special. This is shit coins, dude. This is shit coin. It's not doing anything special. I don't know why you like it. I don't know why people like these coins. You're welcome. I don't mean to be rude, obviously, but like, I just think there are better picks. That's my point. I think there are better picks that have already proven themselves in this market, like Solana, or even Ethereum. Do you know what I'm saying? But, like, yeah, I mean, obviously that's the point. Like, you want to buy something before it goes up. So I don't know. To each their own. Definitely not looking at more of these coin suggestions right now. We can do them later on in the live stream, but not at the moment. Moving it back to Bitcoin, where it is right now, we are attempting a rise up over here. So let's see where this ends up taking Bitcoin. Will we stabilize and alts pick up, or quick kiss on the top and dump? Will we stabilize and alts pick up? That's usually what happens. I mean, because you're saying, will we stabilize or will Bitcoin dump now, basically? Like, it's looking pretty good, right? I mean, you're looking at it on the minute time frame, not that that's anything useful at all. And it looks good. And we're looking at it on the hourly time frame as well, on the left-hand side. And it looks... No, I'm sorry, this is the daily. And it looks good, right? It looks like it's got a decent chance. It could totally drop down, but to where? 120? 117? I think 117, this rough range stretching all the way down to about like 116.7, I think this level would get defended. I don't know. I might be wrong. But I think this level would get defended if Bitcoin did end up falling down there. Like 120, maybe a tiny bit, kind of hard to say, because... it's just, I don't know, it's a little bit of a flat level. It's not really, it's never been support, really realistically for Bitcoin. So you could probably call that into doubt a little bit. But I definitely think that, overall, it's not, yeah, I don't think this is the level that we want. And I think that 117 is going to be the much more important support level for Bitcoin. So, its worst case right now is not that bad. I mean, this is a 5% drop, and you better believe it's going to scare the market. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're getting up to an all-time high again, and especially if we peak above it and hit, like, 126, and then we come down to 117, just imagine how exhausting that would be, right? I mean, that's an exhausting, like, mentally exhausting thing for many traders, because... they're too emotionally fucking intertwined with the market. So whatever the market does directly affects their psyche. And that's how you get fucking wrecked. That's how you get liquidated, fam, in these markets. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. But many people are that guy. And if the market falls down to levels like this after, being up here at an all-time high or being a tiny bit higher at 126, you will see people really losing their shit with the market. And it's a great opportunity to grab some liquidity. Fuck it. Let it deviate below 116, 117. Let it come all the way down to 114 for a quick wick. And then back up. That stuff makes sense. You guys haven't been here for 2 weeks. You guys have been here for a number of months or years at this point. You know this. You know that Bitcoin's love language is deviations. We know this. The resistance level is 120, but we peaked above it on our first ever attempt. And then again over here, and then again over here. And we're doing it right now. These are deviations. These 3 instances here. Is this one a deviation? I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. Deviations are what Bitcoin does. Here's a support level. 102, 103K. Relatively well respected. Big deviation here. Serious deviation here. Back above the line. Bitcoin deviates all the time. We've got 200 viewers in the house. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Smash up those likes as you are coming in. Let's get this thing above 100 likes. Welcome to the live stream. So, you know, Bitcoin loves to deviate, and I think that that would definitely quell sentiment very well. It would flush liquidity. It would be good and healthy for the market. So that's something which I think we should definitely be kind of keeping an eye out for. And retaining some awareness of. But here's Bitcoin, still sitting at about $123,000 right now. It's finding a tiny, tiny bit of resistance just on this minuscule 1 minute time frame. So we'll see how this continues to kind of go on. 𝐂𝐿𝐴 is ready for the bear market. Well, good luck, sir. Good luck. I'm also ready for the bear market. I just don't think we're getting one soon. But I love bear markets. I love them. They're easy to trade. The first, 6 months of a bear market, very easy to trade. Because nobody believes you're in a bear market. Everyone's like, oh, but it's still forever up season. No, it's fucking not, dude. Just, you know, go short. Make some fucking cash. You know what I'm saying? Like, that works well. Yeah. Really, really interesting place to be, you know? I remember a long time ago... Well... I remember a long time Agony mentioned... What the I don't know what you're saying, dude. I'm sorry. I cannot make sense of your comment. My bad. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on the 4-year cycle and where we are in it? Like, how close to the end of the bull market? Look, I don't have any respect or put any weight on the 4-year cycle theories or whatever. I don't think that any of them are particularly interesting at all. And I'm really, really not interested in that. I think it's a childish kind of theory, and I don't think it really holds up. And the issue with stuff like that is they ignore causality, right? It's like, well, what's causing the bull market right now? What's causing the bull market is fucking inflation. Obviously, it's inflation, and it's, you know, and it's speculation, and it's interest rates coming down. All these things kind of tie hand in hand with each other. You know, like, these things they just started getting worse again. You know, things like inflation. Do you still hold any of that long trade? Hell yeah, dude. I'm talking about retirement funds, man. It's a strategy. It's a strategy. You go long at 110, whatever it is, and then it never comes down to your stop loss, and it's just risen up to 200, 300K. That's your fucking retirement fund, dude. You're not touching that. You're going to let that profit run as much as it can. That's basically a spot holding on steroids. When you buy spot, you buy it, and you're 1x, right? Effectively. You get a real trade in there at those kind of levels instead. You've multiplied your, hell yeah. You don't ever want to close them until you're invalidated, basically. Until you get size, until you're in a bear market. Good luck with that. You know what I'm saying? That might take a while. Or not. I don't know. But I don't think it's coming soon. I don't think that's going to be something we see right now. 72 likes, ladies and gents. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. If you are just tuning in, if you're brand new to the channel, then welcome. You're getting realistic, grounded technical analysis. We say it straight to your face like it is. I say it to you like I would say it to you if I was sitting across you. Put it that way. That's what we do on this channel. If you were sat across me in a lounge, in my house, if I'm in your house, I would talk to you like this. What happened to my treadmill? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. What's causing stock inflation is the cycles, mate. Cycles are king. What is stock inflation? I don't think I've ever heard of that term. Stock inflation. What? Help me out with that. Let's see what the altcoin market is looking at. First of all, we'll start with Bitcoin dominance. It's again looking pretty good. It's holding steady up here. Not that that matters much. That's not going to be enough to convince me that Bitcoin dominance is going on a rip, but it's definitely setting itself up to do that. It's definitely like got a better chance at doing that now than it did a week ago, put it that way. Because it is kind of, stalling a little bit up here. That's going to give it a chance to kind of, consolidate and move higher. So that's interesting. Ethereum kind of painting that story for us. Looks like it's going to probably dip down, which really lines up with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin shoots up like 5-10K from here, you're probably going to see, just given by what I'm seeing right now, I think there's a decent chance that actually alts might take a little leg down against Bitcoin. Not against the dollar. They'd probably gain against the dollar. But I think Bitcoin would gain faster against the dollar. So that's useful to know right now. Let's look at some of the other coins. Solana, also looking sweet. Looking very, very nice. Sol BTC. Looking great. Same thing as Ethereum. Not much to say here. Market's not changing much from day to day, is it? Doesn't change too much. If the price of gold hasn't told these people inflation is rampant, then I don't know what to tell them. That's exactly what I'm saying, Adam. Adam's paying attention. You guys got to pay attention to Adam. Adam's got the right takes. This is 100% correct, dude. 3,884. This is an all-time high, ladies and gents, for gold. What is gold if it's not a direct track of inflation? Gold is nothing if it's not that. So, yeah, I think it's doing great. I think it's doing great, and I think it's telling us a lot about where this market might go. This is also concerning because it indicates potential even geopolitical instability, which, my goodness, I think we've had enough of that. A little bit of time of just people not throwing bombs on each other would be refreshing at this stage, I think. So, I don't know. But, yeah, $3,900 effectively for gold. I mean, it was sitting at like $1,800 like 5 years ago. I know it's 5 years. That's actually a really long, it's a really long time, but it's not actually that long. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was more like a year and a bit ago, like 2 years ago. My bad. My mistake. Completely wrong on that. It was actually there 2 years ago. Or a year and a bit ago. But still, yeah, it's gone up pretty quick. Considering it's gold. This is another example of what happens when your price is suppressed for a really long period of time. This whole period here, which lasted 5 fucking years, more or less, 2020 all the way to 2024, that's 4 years. It lasted 4 years. It was gold being suppressed throughout the pandemic and the mass inflation that followed. Can we deep that for a second, ladies and gents? I don't know how many of you are aware of this. You're all intelligent people, I'm sure. You made it this far into the live stream. You're not offended. You're clearly in a good bracket of intelligence. So you know what gold is. You know how big of a deal gold is historically. Gold was suppressed throughout the biggest inflation event we've seen in the West in my lifetime, which is short, admittedly, and probably in many of your lifetimes as well. I mean, just the most asinine fucking period of governance that we've seen, probably short of the handling of 9/11. That was the pandemic and the post-pandemic response. In terms of science, in terms of finance, in terms of everything. It was fucking terrible. It was absolutely terrible how every single government in the world handled the pandemic, with exceptions. There were exceptions. In certain countries, there were exceptions. Maybe the rest of the country was shit. Certain countries got it right. I'm looking at states like Florida. I'm looking at countries like the UAE. Right? Some handled it better than others. But it was a fucking disaster. And with the inflation that happened, the furlough. Do you remember the stimulus checks? Of course you remember the stimulus checks. That shit was crazy. That shit was so crazy. And through all of that, gold was like trending down. Like Show me a clearer example of market manipulation. I'll wait. Find me a clearer example of a market being artificially suppressed. Where's my proof that it's artificially suppressed? Well, first of all, go back, watch my videos from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where I was telling you that gold is being suppressed every single time I spoke about it. Those of you that were subscribed from back then, you're going to know about this. We were very vocal about this. I was telling you, gold is being suppressed. This is not real price action for gold. It will blow up. And when it blows up, I was telling you guys I'm expecting 3,300. That was my final target. Obviously, we've even stretched past that. And where's my proof that it was suppressed? Look at the response. Look at how explosive that response was for gold. That is a 93% move in about 600 days. 93% in 600 days. My goodness. What an incredible rally for gold. The clearest sign ever that inflation is going crazy again as well. And obviously a lot of this was was stuff that should have happened during this period. So, I don't know what the point is that gold kind of made good with all this manipulation. It was probably like, if I had to guess, it was probably like somewhere around like here, I don't know. What was this, like 3,000? I think like 3,000, maybe even like, around somewhere in this range. What, at 3,300, right? That was my target. Like that would have made sense to kind of like play out all of the moves that should have happened during this sideways range. Everything from now, and by the way, I got no fucking basis for what I'm saying, right? I would have to sit with figures and complex analysis to see where we actually are based on complex mathematical models. But let's eyeball it for a second. All right, because it's somewhere here. We clearly have paid back what should have happened during the early 2020s. We're in the mid-2020s now. During the early 2020s. We've clearly, I think at this stage, we've made good with that suppression, and we've acted out what should have happened during that range. So it's like, well, at what point are we now like forward-looking, rather than like Bitcoin right now? I don't think it's forward-looking, right? Let me make that point. Like from what I see with Bitcoin, it's not doing something like in the present right now. The way I see it, it's kind of clawing back what should have happened during this price suppression here. Because this is when the S&P was doing well, but Bitcoin wasn't. And we know that there is that correlation, that positive correlation between the S&P and Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin is now kind of catching up with where it should have been. And I don't think we're done with that. For Bitcoin, I can say it a lot more confidently. I think that those figures are basically going to be like, I don't know, like 130 potentially, 127. I think it's somewhere above the all-time high. That's my point. I think Bitcoin's like, like level to like make good with where it should be, not even start looking forward, but just to like overcome the suppression it's been going through is probably going to have to rebound to somewhere like, 126, 127. I think that's super reasonable at this stage. So, yeah. I mean, what can I say? Like that's just something that happens in these markets, and we gotta factor that in our analysis. That if things stay suppressed for a long time, they're gonna blow up, and it's gonna look quite irrational. But you're only just kind of like equalizing what happened before. You're not doing anything particularly crazy. And by the way, Bitcoin here on the minute time frame, just consolidating. We've got to see what happens with this consolidation range, but as we know, I mean, if it starts pointing up, then, there's a pretty decent chance we break that 124k level today, now. And if it breaks down, there's a pretty decent chance we end up finding some really nice support, be it at 120 or at 117 or wherever we might find it. Silver is being manipulated? Yes, sir. Yeah, it is. Adam, I personally think gold is only just catching up to the printing that happened during COVID. Yeah, so I guess you're saying that actually, we're not done, making good with all that manipulation. Ladies and gents, let's get this thing above 100 likes. We're 12 away. I know we can do it. If you haven't already, smash them up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. You know the deal. You know the deal. Best YouTube channel for this stuff, I think. I don't know. There's a few others that are great. There's a few others that are really good. But not many. Not many. Many of them are, I don't know, dangerous to listen to. I put it that way. They're dangerous to listen to. A lot of them want to, you know, just tell you what you want to hear. My God, that's a better way to make money as a YouTuber, I'll tell you that. So I get it. They're just fucking show people, innit? Just give the people what they want. But I don't think that's, you know, a great kind of long-term approach because everybody ends up fucking broke. You know, taking that kind of attitude. 98, you legends. Yeah, let's push it above 100. There we go. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you all very, very much indeed. Altcoins, like I said, not looking too interesting. I don't know. I just think that they're, you know, I think they're going to be approaching better buy levels relatively soon. But, you know, I guess I just think it's going to rely on Bitcoin. I just think it's fully on Bitcoin. And, you know, if Bitcoin does get that move up, so many signs are pointing to the mid-130s. You know, for those of you that have watched this channel for, you know, a few weeks or months, you're going to know 134, 136 have been the two price targets I've had from so many different forms of analysis pointing at the exact same price levels. So many different tools pointing to the exact same price levels. So I really think that's kind of like the next key level that Bitcoin ends up getting to. And again, I mean, you know, what's going to happen in between, you know, 125 and 135? Probably not much. You know, it's probably going to be a pretty quick rally, I think. I think that makes sense. You know, maybe we pull back in between, whatever. But I just think that any kind of stumbling that could happen is probably going to be shallow. Crypto Kirby, where is he? I don't know, dude. We got to get him back. Got to get Crypto Kirby back. Got to find his fucking email or something. I don't know. Bitcoin's going to melt faces. I think so. Yeah. I really think so. It hasn't done that yet. Bitcoin hasn't gone parabolic yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't seen anything yet. This can get a lot better for Bitcoin. Everybody thinks this is fun, but the world is making them ready for the new... Oh, that sounds a bit creepy, dude. I don't know what you're getting at with that. Some new world order shit or something. You just have to go to the UK or Canada, dude. You'll see what that looks like. Yeah, don't have to go too far. Come on, guys, hit that like button for Sammy. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you very much. We have smashed 100. Thank you all very much. You legends. You legends. The new money? You mean like CBDCs or something? Scary shit in Canada? Yeah, dude. Yeah. I don't know what Canada is. Certainly not a fucking sovereign country. Or, I guess, Canadians themselves. Not sovereign citizens. Go to America. Yeah, America's great. America's great. Depends where you are. Completely depends where you are. But, I don't know. There's not many other places, I think, that are desirable anymore in the world. I think for, like, Americans that are already American, like, you know, just find a free state, basically. I don't know. That's if you're okay to be away from friends and family, which is a really big ask. Most people will never do that, and I totally understand. You know, and if you're not in America, then you don't have the IRS to worry about. So go fucking live in Dubai. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, go live in Dubai. If you're not an American, like, you have nothing stopping you from living your best life out there. Don't do it all the time. Go there for like 6 months a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to make it your life. America's great where I'm at. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. The BBL Doctor. Welcome, BBL Doctor. Hi, Sammy. Love the hair and Harry Potter glasses. Thank you. I was wondering, how much do you earn in referral fees? And do you think Solana will go above 350 this cycle? I don't know. And I don't know. Let's leave it there. But how much do you make from BBL, sir? Let's talk about your finances. Must we have a parabolic phase before bear market comes? I think so. I think so. I mean, we don't have to. That's the big question. You're asking a really important question there, DS. You know, there is, I think, incredible upside in those parabolic runs, and we usually get them. We usually get them at some point, in our bull markets. So I definitely think that there's going to be, some very, very real chance of a parabolic run in this market. What's going on, Rupert? Welcome to the live stream. How you doing, mate? Such a genius way to make money. Women love surgery. Yeah, I guess. Depends where you are, innit? Depends where you are. Sup, Rwanda? How you doing? Looking forward to paying 45% income tax in the UK. Yeah. It's not nice. It's not nice. Look, man, if you're in the UK, the best thing you've got is your passport. So get the fuck out. Let's keep it simple. Just get out. Or not. Maybe you feel like you need to defend the fucking homeland. And honestly, good for you. I wish I was one of those people. I'm not. I admire them. I really respect the shit out of them. But I couldn't, dude. I couldn't do it. After the pandemic, I couldn't do it. End user wants me to give him $100. I'll give you $100 if you give me $1,000. How about that? The whole world has the same underlying tone, and COVID proved it. Having less views on this channel confirms the real work. I don't know what you're saying, dude. Is it me, or are some of these comments just not easy to understand what they're saying? UK needs a Trump? We don't have a Trump, bro. I thought it was maybe Farage, but he's the closest bet we have to a Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the closest we have, but I don't think we're getting anything that different, you know? It still feels like your standard fucking Eton dickhead. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably a lot better than anyone we've seen recently. I think Liz Truss was our savior. But British people don't have any level of fucking financial education, just like the rest of the world. So when she said her policies, everyone thought she was crazy. Actually, no. You just fucking swallowed propaganda your whole life. Liz was the only one paying attention. Bitcoin push into 123 again. Let's see how this goes for Bitcoin this time. A second test is a very strong sign. So if we are able to push above here, that would be great for Bitcoin. Yeah, it's struggling a tiny bit. And obviously there's much higher price targets than 135. I mean, you know, like, I think, you know, I think actually like 240 minimum is kind of a minimum cycle top for this cycle, because we haven't gone parabolic yet. And if we do go parabolic, then, you know, we probably will only go parabolic from this price level or higher, and a parabola is usually going to 2x your price. No, as an American, you do not want a Trump. Things are getting wild here right now. I don't know, dude. This sentiment is really crazy to me, because it was literally Trump or Kamala. Kamala wouldn't even be your fucking president. You know what I'm saying? Like she would, but she wouldn't. You know exactly what I mean. So I don't get the sentiment. Like, yeah, sure, Trump's been a massive fuck up and letdown this year, okay? I know a lot of people believe that, and I understand why they believe that. It makes sense. But what's the alternative? A fucking communist? Come on, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, an actual communist where they didn't even, like, elect her in the DNC? They just placed her in? An actual communist? No. No. You'd just rather have Trump. Like, the only real argument I ever saw in favor of Kamala was that Trump is dramatic. And that it would be a turbulent presidency. And I understand their point, but I don't even think that's true. You know? I think what's turbulent is leaving Afghanistan the way Biden did. That's fucking turbulent. Yeah? I think what's turbulent is letting Russia attack Ukraine in the first place. Please look up the definition of communism. Okay. That's turbulent. That's what turbulent is. New York's got a new Muslim mayor. You know what's interesting, right? Is like Sadiq Khan ruined. And by the way, my background is Muslim. So I'm allowed to say what I'm about to say. Sadiq Khan ruined London. An absolutely fucking disastrous example of how to be a mayor. I mean, Sadiq Khan, my god. I can't think of people I dislike more than him. He is pretty close to the top. I'm an American and shit is getting done with Trump in office. No MO, illegals. What's MO? But yeah, no, it looks like things are happening. And so what happened was, so we got Sadiq Khan in London, and then we got fucking that other packy dickhead in Scotland. Who's he? What was his name? I'm glad I forgot it. What a fucking loser he was. That Scottish guy? 𝐁𝐥𝐸𝐧, was it? And, you know, it was obvious that it's happening in the UK, because, like I said, I'm by the way, like, I'm half Pakistani by blood, okay? So, you know, and the other half is Indian. So, you know, it was obvious the UK was heading this way, because we have such a large population of Indians and Pakis. But what 𝐁𝐸𝐸𝐧 did, or whoever his name is, you know, in Scotland was crazy. You know, the berating of the white population, for example. One of many examples of, you know, how he is a fucking psycho. But now what's so interesting is that it's come to New York. It's like, well, how did this happen? How did it happen that, you know, like, I didn't expect that New York would do that, right? I understand a little bit about New York. I've been there many times. New York is not a great place to be, especially the cities. Outside of the cities, New York State? How many of you guys have been to, like, upstate New York? Upstate New York is beautiful. It's like England. It's so nice. Upstate New York, I loved it. That was one of my favorite experiences in America. But the cities? Disaster. Right? But it's like, despite that, how did an American city, at that, New York, elect Mamdani? And it's like, okay, well, actually, you look at his competition, that helps a little bit to understand who he was up against. Yeah, upstate New York is a different, you know, it's very nice. Just that whole area. I haven't actually been to very much of it. Way better than England upstate. I agree. England's not that interesting. But it felt like England. Especially because everything's called, like, you know, English names. No, but I think the way that they were able to get Mamdani is because the existing, you know, political establishment was puppet stuff, you know? Like, they weren't even working for New Yorkers. And when you've got a bunch of people that just don't know any better, and they're frustrated, like, the explanation for why everybody wants communism these days in my age bracket, I'm 24, is simple. Everybody wants communism these days because they're fucking poor, and they have no chance at making money, and housing is impossible to afford, jobs are hard to get. Not that many people try properly, but that's a different discussion. And they end up wanting free shit. Because billionaires are bad. That's all it is. Billionaire equals bad. Communism equals good. Socialism equals good. And that's it. You'll hear it in high school. You'll hear it in university. You'll hear it on fucking Twitter, or not even Twitter these days, but, you know, the gay platforms like Instagram and TikTok and Blue Sky, the gayest platform of them all, probably Blue Sky. Not that anyone's really on Blue Sky, but that's how it happens. And then you get a generation of young kids that have no skills, no education, a fried fucking brain from all the doom scrolling they do. They're deeply insecure. They're useless at everything. They have no chance at the world. And Elon Musk just hit $500 billion net worth. So what the fuck do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Of course everyone's going to be a fucking communist. And of course you're going to get Mamdani in New York. And Sadiq Khan in London. And Hamza Yusuf in Scotland. Of course you're going to have fucking Ilhan Omar. Gavin's running for president, ladies and gents. Strap yourselves in for the next few years. It's getting different. It's getting different. Sammy, Trump derangement is a real thing. Looks like some of your followers are suffering from TDS. I don't know, dude. I'm not even trying to, like, bash anyone that disagrees with me. I don't think I've said anything that's, like, a factual inaccuracy. I'm just paying attention. I don't have a filter. I'm not scared of speaking. We're free people. We can say what we fucking want. And Newsom's got a real chance of getting elected, dude. You're talking about a well-put-together white fucking family, dude, that, you know, checks all the boxes on paper, speaks calmly, very charismatic. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, most of America doesn't even know what Newsom is yet. He's going to control that entire introduction of how people discover who Newsom is. Bitcoin dumping, it's over. Yeah, Bitcoin's just still consolidating, not doing anything interesting. Somehow, yet again, I've ended up turning a Bitcoin live stream into a discussion about how much I hate communists and socialists. Oops. I can't even say I'm surprised. Big city and big government handouts. It's just like the big cities here. They have no common sense these days talking about young kids. Free people until we go to the UK. Yeah, I guess. We gotta fight for that. No, but the solution to this is easy, right? It's not easy, but it's simple. The solution to this is you want to bolster the economy and give everybody chances, basically. You want to give everybody chances. Young kids, you want to give them chances. And in order for them to have chances, the system needs to not be rigged against them. So this shit about, like, private equity buying houses so that a normal family can't, that's a problem. Are you going to fix that through regulation? I don't like that. That's what you call a big government. There's going to be another solution to that. I always like the idea of boycotting. You know, I think boycott, you know, is good enough. It's hard to boycott the BlackRocks of the world. And I'm not saying we should do that. But there's definitely ways to achieve these things without the government getting bigger and having more things to regulate. But hey, maybe this is... I don't even like this the idea of like saying you can't do that by law, because then what else are you going to say you can't do next? You're back in the same problem. You also want to stop the crazy printing. How do you stop printing? Well, you need to have the government spending less, don't you? If the government needs less money, they don't print as much, right? That's pretty straightforward. So you stop the wars. Oops. Am I stepping on someone's toes now? You stop the wars. Did I say something controversial? You stop the wars. You stop these crazy fucking socialist systems that encourage people to not work and not be productive and fucking shit on the system while they do it. You stop these bullshit fucking socialist programs. And then the government needs less money. And then they print less. And they borrow less. Deficit doesn't grow as large. It's simple. Spend less money. From every angle. And you will fix your problems. Give people 100% homestead exemption on property taxes and still charge corporate housing property tax. That sounds pretty cool. So what's a homestead exemption? Is that like if you're the only one that lives... No. Homesteading means like if you live off your land, right? Like you put like flowers and shit, like you plant like a farm, you like grow potatoes. Is that what it means? Any chance we can have you look at the Palantir chart? I understand if no time. Oh, dude, I will look at the Palantir chart. Haven't looked at it very much. I don't know how I feel about Palantir, man. Everybody buys Palantir because it's like easy money, but isn't this like the most evil company in the world? I don't even know much about them, but I mean, it looks incredible. It's doing so well. It's doing so well. A little pullback right now, but, you know, support down at like 160 probably, 155. And then blue sky breakout above, you know, 190 more or less. There's not much I can say about Palantir. It doesn't really have a chart you can analyze, does it? This is everything since 2025 started around here. Put it on the linear. Okay, it's gone up by quite a bit, yeah, from like $70, $60 all the way up to fucking hell, all the way up to nearly 200. Homestead exemption is a tax exemption on your primary residence. Yeah, I mean, and your channel name says Texas Outdoorsman. So, have I seen your channel? Do you make videos? Hang on, I gotta check this out. Oh no, I don't think I have seen your channel, but given the fact that you are in Texas, you probably have something to say about those property taxes. You probably have a couple opinions about property taxes, so yeah, I get it. I've heard some nasty things, dude, about property taxes out there. It's definitely a strange chart. Can't tell if time to get out just yet. Look, I mean, the conversation about getting out is difficult, right? Because, you know, if you're wrong, you might miss out on a 2x gain or something. So really, it's about scaling out. And at that, it's about when the chart starts invalidating itself. So I'll give you a great example. We had this kind of bounce right here, and then the market kind of came nearly back down to the same level. Now, I think if the market fell below this yellow line at this stage, that would have been your sign that actually things are getting really bad. And then, you know, if we kind of extrapolate that to where we are right now, that next level might be like around here at 140. Which is to say that if if Palantir falls down to 140, but not lower, then we're probably good. But if it falls down to like 120, then why are we dropping that hard? Right? Like that might be a cause for concern. And I think on the way up also, just to keep taking profits off it, right? Like if you've got a large position, just scale out of it. Every time you need a little bit of money, you want to buy something or you want to just rebalance your portfolio. This is really important, right? A lot of people don't think about this, but when one of your investments that you've got just does incredibly, incredibly well, you know, it might have started out as 20% of your portfolio, but if that thing risen up by 5x, it's now going to be like 80% of your portfolio. So, you know, there's going to be a very, very important need to start rebalancing your portfolio and, you know, get things to a more sensible level again. And that's where, you know, you want to kind of start chipping on your positions. I don't know what phrase I'm looking for here, but you want to kind of, you know, just kind of gently just take a little bit off, and just rebalance things, put that money into something else, you know, rotate into the next sector, the next industry, the next asset class that you think makes sense. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe you want to prepare for a bit of a crash. Maybe you want to buy some real estate. You know, it depends on like what kind of portfolio size you're looking, you know, that you're working with, right? But you know, if you've got access to things like credit, you know, you might want to like really do some interesting stuff with that money, right? So there's tons of things to consider here, but I think really just kind of scaling out of those positions gently as you're in profits and keeping the line, you know, because if you're closing 5% every time you pump up by fucking 50%, then you know that's you're not really going to feel that on your position, right? Like your position's not really going to change much, but you are still going to gain really nice profits. Securing 5% of a 50% profit is a 2.5% total profit. So if you're booking 2.5% every single time, you're doing that fucking 10 times, for example. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to add up. Maybe the numbers are too small. You're going to have to tweak them. You're going to have to find out what your numbers are. But that's how I like to kind of treat, you know, getting in and out of positions, or more specifically, getting out of positions. But, you know, Palantir, as it stands right now, I think it's a hard one to read. I think it's going to be more fundamental as well as far as the chart. I would rather know a lot more about what Palantir themselves are doing right now. That will give me a much better idea on where this thing might end up going. See what some of these comments are saying. Check out 𝐁𝐥𝐶hain. We'll look at recommendation. I mean, coin suggestions in a bit. I don't really want to get into them right now. We all have money from house now. Nobody works anymore, and we need immigrants to do the work. Soon we're gonna have robots doing the work, dude. They print to pay the interest on debt. That's how bad it's gotten. Yeah, it's a disaster, dude. J Mandy saying Sammy for president. Thank you. But yeah, probably not gonna happen, dude. Now that we're entering the weekend. Oh yeah, we are. Do you recommend to wait till Monday to re-enter the market, or should I re-enter if a dip takes place during the weekend, trying to be as safe as possible? Look, dude, if you're trying to be as safe as possible in crypto, you're kind of at odds with yourself. You know, you're gonna run into yourself a little bit. By the way, ladies and gents, smash out those likes if you haven't done so already. Thank you all very much for the beautiful engagement. But yeah, dude, if you're trying to play it safe and buy crypto at the same time, I don't really know how that works. So please keep that in mind. And then in terms of the weekend specifically, I don't put too much credence on the weekend, right? So, and that's to say specifically more accurately what I mean is I don't really care if it's a weekend or a weekday. You do typically get really nice opportunities on weekends, and if traditional finance is looking good, but Bitcoin dumps on a weekend, that dump is probably going to be a pretty good dump to buy, and that's because on the weekend, that price action might end up getting erased, basically, come Monday. But that's a big statement for me to say, and I need more data to be confident about what I just said. And I also just don't think it's that big of a deal. So, I think that's important. Also, you said to re-enter the market, which implies that you got out. Why'd you get out, dude? Maybe you're trying to play it so safe that you're taking yourself out of good positions too early. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you didn't do that. I don't know. The pullback is dragging alts to hell? Not really. Bitcoin dominance is still at exactly 59%. When are we getting to 5k Ethereum? I think, yeah, if Bitcoin gets a nice big breakout, 5k is like 10% away for Ethereum, right? So that's going to be very quick to get to. If Bitcoin gets to like 130, Ethereum is probably already above 5k, the way I see things. I mounted a racing simulator with my Pepe earnings. Don't really need anything else anymore. That is so cool. Congratulations. Alright, and there's Bitcoin just setting a slightly lower low here. I think, ladies and gents, I'm going to be getting going here for this live stream, but I will be back later on if we get any kind of interesting price action. We'll be back for... I'll just watch the market for the next couple of hours. If something interesting does happen, I'll be back. But otherwise, I'll probably just have to close it off here. So thank you all very much for tuning in. If you've got any final questions, I'll take a look at them for the next minute or two. But I'm probably ready to round this one off. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Definitely check out the links in the description to some of the best exchanges in the game. Check them out if you're not from a restricted region. Get into our exclusive one-to-one program. It lasts 12 weeks. It is expensive, but it's very serious and incredibly transformative for everybody that's ever joined. Everybody always pays off their fee within a couple of weeks of joining. No exceptions to that so far. We will have an exception eventually, but so far it hasn't happened, which is very, very cool. The panicking people is so funny. Yeah, no, some people do panic a lot over nothing. They're just new to the game. They're probably over-invested. But, yeah. Check out those beautiful things if you are interested. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Shout out to Serbia. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Tin Man. Thank you, Free Fighter. You guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will be back if something interesting happens. Cheers.